TC Energy says it hasn't yet figured out the cause of the leak that knocked the Keystone pipeline out of service, nor does the company have a timeline for when oil will resume flowing. The company has assigned some 250 people to work on this problem. The leak spilled 14,000 barrels of oil into a Kansas creek. We are joined by Dennis McConaghy, a former TransCanada executive, now TransCanada is called TC Energy, whose department was responsible for commercial development of the Keystone XL pipeline. He joins us now. Of course, Keystone XL ultimately being vetoed by Washington. Dennis, great to talk to you, and thanks for giving us the time.
Thanks. Always good to be with you, Andrew.
Dennis, I know you don't want to speculate, but what could cause a leak in a pipeline like this? What kind of event?
Well, I think the two most plausible reasons would have been a failure in the pipe itself, a welding failure that had accumulated over time. The second could have been an operating error in the way that section was operated. I suspect it's more likely the former. And my guess is that right now that's still being investigated, but I would expect they'd have some reasonable sense of where this is headed. And of course, the key point is the process they're in with PHMSA, which is the agency of the U.S. Department of Transport that has to basically sign off on allowing the pipeline to be put back into operation. And of course, all this is against the backdrop of wanting to maximize the volumes through base Keystone as much as possible. That's in both the obvious financial interests of Western Canada and the equilibrium of crude supplies into the Gulf Coast. So there's great pressure on getting this thing restored, and I would expect that we're going to hear something substantive by the end of the week.
You said operator error. How could that be? How would that cause? Sorry, go ahead.
There have been occasions in the past where the way the pipe was operated, when potentially some operator didn't observe some rising pressure on the control panel in one location, some of the telemetry, some of the remote control systems, that can happen. As I said to you before, I don't think that was likely the case here. I'm just exhausting the possibilities of what's being reviewed by PHMSA at the moment.
How quickly is oil likely to start backing up in Alberta, and how likely is that to lead to a massive discount, even bigger discount on Alberta oil? What kind of timescale here are we talking about?
Well, so it would be... When you think about the fact that this is a spill of 14,000 barrels in the context of a system that is moving close to 1 million barrels a day currently. So, it's absolutely essential that it is restored. One thing that's not been made clear to me is how much of this pipeline has been shut basically just south of where the spill occurred, how much volume is still being allowed to flow on it north of that point. And for those of you that are familiar with the configuration of base Keystone, there's a significant lateral just north of the southeast corner of Nebraska where the flow goes into the systems feeding into southern Illinois and Midwest refiners, not down to the Gulf Coast. So the point is, this is catastrophic if it were to persist for weeks in terms of the impact it would have. And that's why there'll be, maximum efforts to both not just understand how it is, what caused it, but the negotiation with PHMSA getting this thing restored. And I think it needs to be recognized there's significant pressure on, the American side, given that there are existing Gulf Coast refineries that are dependent on this Canadian supply. So my sense is that this will be resolved, I would hope, within the next week or not much longer than that, or else we'll be having a lot more conversations about this.
This is one of the biggest spills on Keystone. I saw calculations last week that it's bigger than the 2017 and 2019 spills put together. So it is a large event.
Well, it is. But as I said before, people need to put this into the context of what Keystone is doing. Mm-hmm. It is 14,000 barrels in a location in northern Kansas, in a system where, typically, maybe half of the volumes that do move on base Keystone, as I said before, go go east towards Illinois and up into the Midwest. The rest goes south. it is a significant spill, but what's more significant is shutting down all that capacity. So that's the real drama that's unfolding here. And it's in every Canadian's interest that this thing gets back online. And all the postmortems as to what caused it will still go on. And that'll be a dialogue between TC Energy and PHMSA. And also, frankly, depending on how long this lasts, the issue of how the force majeure claims, which I'm sure TC Energy has already issued to its shippers, how those get resolved. That goes to the issue of who pays for this outage, this lost capacity. The longer that goes, the harder it gets to find settlements where the shippers are going to absorb those costs. So great pressure on for getting this thing resolved. And as I said before, this can't go on much longer into next week, or else we're going to have real disruption, and not only into supply, but the financial consequences as well.
That's interesting. I mean, can you give us a quick idea of force majeure? So TC Energy tells customers, sorry, this event has happened, we can't deliver the oil that we expected. Does that get them off the hook, or would they typically have to pay some compensation?
Well, if it's agreed by all parties that it is a legitimate force majeure event, something that could not reasonably have been planned for, yes, TransCanada gets paid. In other words, you pay your rent even if you have some operating problem in your apartment, is the kind of analog of it. But that can always be contentious, and the longer this goes, the bigger the financial consequences on the shippers, and the more they're going to have the expected reaction of testing all of the legitimacy of that claim. But my guess is that for if we're inside 2 weeks on this thing will unfold as a kind of normal course force majeure claim. That would be my expectation.